La Buena Podcast Networks present.
Here we are.
Yes. And we are doing something that a lot of people don't do. And that's getting really personal.
Very much so. Yes.
Exposing a very difficult time that we went through and being very transparent. And so I'll let you start.
Okay. Well, in 2024, I filed for divorce with my wife. It became very public.
Right.
Tabloids. Our marriage was over.
Wow. How over?
It was dead. No expectation for a future.
Right. Well, that wife was me. Is me.
Yes.
And yeah, that's very true. It became very difficult. It was a time in our lives where I truly believed our marriage was over. There was no part of me that thought there was any hope of any sort of healing. There wasn't enough counseling that I thought could fix our marriage. Mm-hmm. And that led to a pretty big lie that I was spiritually divorced in my eyes. And that led to a lot of humiliation. And it led to a lot of, well, I won't say a lot, but it led to infidelity. And it led to just hurting our little one who got caught in the crossfires of it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was difficult.
Yeah. We didn't speak for a year. Lawyers, restraining orders on both parts.
That's true.
Just hurt, anger, everything.
Right. Yeah. We didn't speak. The communication just truly wasn't there. There was no desire to communicate from either one of us. I think we were both in a position where we were pretty sure that it was just over. And
just figuring out how we're moving forward separately.
Well, welcome to the Restored and Rising podcast. I'm Melina Alves.
And I'm Eddie Ryder. We're not marriage experts. We're a marriage miracle.
Yes, that's very true.
Yes.
And we just hope that our testimony can have an impact on whoever's listening, no matter what your walk is. And that's what we hope, that if you feel like your marriage is dead, there is no coming back from it, it's hopeless.
Even if it's finalized.
Right.
You're through divorce.
This would be a podcast for you. You know, when we were doing the movie and being distracted by that, again, I just remember thinking, like, just get through this movie, just get through this movie. And at the time, somebody came in who gave all those things that I had desperately wanted from you, right? Yeah. The attention, the praise, the affirmations, and the lies that filled my heart at that moment of the marriage is done. There is no marriage. I'm free from this marriage. It really made me see the world from a lens that was very deceitful.
Yeah.
It was a deceived vision. I guess that's the best way for me to put it. It's like I put on glasses and everything that I saw through those glasses was a lie.
Yeah. And it was obvious to me that something shifted, and that was during the filming, right? It was so obvious to me because all of a sudden the communication turned to like just garbage, like simple stuff. Because we would communicate to the effect of like logistics, Alina, when are you going to be here? When are you going to be there? It would be like the basics like that, right? But it wasn't even that. It was an annoyance to like look at your phone and respond to something just simple like that. And so I knew something shifted at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't have any expectations of that. But obviously the marriage was in trouble.
Yeah, the marriage was definitely in trouble. And it was at that point, even though nothing physically was happening at that point, I knew there was just, for me, that it was just, I knew it was done before, but now I knew that it was done. Like there was no, like you said, there was an annoyance, there was a frustration. And I'll tell you, I remember having a conversation with a friend at the time, and I told her I was angry because now I'm going, there's this person who's giving me attention and I wanted that from him and he couldn't even give it to me, and now I'm angry. So then it turned into that. So the manifestation of the tiny little seed of I have an unhappy marriage grew into this monster of now you're the villain in the story. Even though as a Christian woman being raised by Christian parents who were in ministry, they were missionaries and pastors, I know that when things get difficult, I should get on my knees and pray. And even though I do think I started that way, I didn't see a change because I was looking at you for a change versus me for a change.
And I wasn't praying.
Right.
I wasn't praying for my marriage. I was just going through the motions, being like, okay, another day.
Right.
Like, that's where I was. I was coasting.
Yeah. So I remember that. I remember just being very angry and just realizing just how bad it was and that it couldn't ever go back. And I'll say this, I truly believe he'll figure out a way to talk to you. Yes. But he'll allow you to go through things that will finally get your attention. I truly believe that the things that you go through might be able to be avoided if you were to just respond to God's voice. So there was a woman in church, Daisy, who kept telling me or asking me, are you sure your marriage is over? Are you sure your marriage is over? And this was really early on.
Yeah.
And I kept telling her, yeah, like you hadn't filed for divorce. There was nothing public at this time. I just kept telling her, yes, it's over. There's no chance. There's just no chance that this can be restored or saved, or there's just no hope.
I just wanted to be through it and just
Right.
be like, okay, here's my schedule. Here's your schedule with our daughter. You know, that was it. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted just a new life. I wanted to move on. I wanted to be there
Exactly.
for my girls and, get stable. And I just didn't. And so for God, and I think this is so beautiful because God took two hearts and had to restore both hearts to each other. So when you're out there and you're listening and you're thinking God can't do it, yes, he can. And it doesn't take you wanting him to do it.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
Yeah, because I remember this specifically now. This is something I totally forgot, is with when talking about how I felt and how I was doing to people, right? I was like, this is actually the greatest I've ever been, because one thing I've always wanted, even from a younger age as an adulthood, I knew I wanted a family. But now we had our daughter, right? And it occurred to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a daughter. So there's nothing I'm really in a hurry for. There's nothing I'm in a rush for. And I was like, you know what? I'm finally at a point where I'm so happy being alone that I just want to be a single dad and let it be. Like, I don't even want anybody else. Like, there's nothing I desire out of anybody else.
Right.
And I was so happy being single. So, and not to be single to be like, oh, I'm free to date, but to be single to stay single. I was so happy just playing by my own rules, living my own life, answering to just myself, right? And just taking care of our daughter.
Yeah.
I was very content there in an unusual way to where it brought me a lot of peace. And
Right.
that's where I was. So that got turned back too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's so beautiful that God is using our story because, again, I think there's a lot of doubt, at least with the women that I've spoken to, about their stand in praying and hoping for a miracle, is that they say, well, my spouse has free will. And that is so true. They do, right? God has
Sure.
orchestrated
Absolutely.
it that way. However, and there's just such a big however, God is still God and God is the ruler of everything and his way will prevail. And so in our situation, I had free will. You had free will.
Mm-hmm.
I had no desire for reconciliation. Neither did you. And yet some way, somehow, when I finally took that moment to just, I remember very clearly, Daisy was telling me, pray for your marriage. And this was right before Christmas. And she said, just pray for your marriage. And I said, Daisy, there's nothing to pray for. Okay, the divorce is being finalized soon. There's nothing here. And she just said, please, will you just pray for your marriage? And I said, okay, fine. I'll pray for my marriage, Daisy.
She exhausted you.
She did exhaust me. She did.
Yeah.
And we were also at a place where it was so contentious. It was so painful, honestly. Every day I'm thinking, what is going to drop today? It was getting very expensive. And I thought, well, there's a better way to get divorced. So I'll pray for that. I'll pray, how should we handle the divorce? Because there's no marriage to pray for. And so when that night, I put the girls down, went into the living room and I prayed and I said, Lord, how is it that you want me to handle this divorce? Like that was my prayer.
Yeah.
And it was so clear, pray for your marriage. And I just stood there going, what? pray for my marriage. There's what, how do I pray for my marriage?
Yeah.
And I prayed that. I said, well, how do I pray for my marriage? God, I there's nothing to pray for. What do you mean pray for my marriage? Okay, I'll pray for my marriage that we don't, hurt each other during this divorce. And I was just very confused by that. And when I started having that conversation, it was then that everything kind of just fell on top of me like a ton of bricks. And so I just really want to encourage people, and I hope we can. I hope, for the sake of just marriages and families and individual hearts, that people can hear our story and they can know that there's hope.
Yeah.
Even if everything and everyone around them is saying no. Te ha sido presentado por La Buena Podcast Network.